Highest grade undeveloped silver property in the world. We're sitting here with 300 million ounces of silver discovered so far, 1.5 million ounces of gold, 1 billion pounds of lead, 2 billion pounds of zinc, and now we've got a couple of 100 million pounds of copper. We've explored 5%. We then find, for the first time in 500 years of mining in this area, structures that run oblique to all of the generally east-west lineated epithermal veins down there. Wow, another exploration explosion is about to happen.
Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We're here today with George Paspalas. He's the CEO of MAG Silver. How you doing, George?
I'm really well, thanks, Matt.
You're here for the one-to-one?
Yep.
What's happening over there?
It's pretty busy.
Yeah?
It's a good little conference that we like to attend.
Yeah, it's one of the better ones.
Yeah, and
sure.
We've sort of been on an extensive European trip. We did shows in Zurich and Geneva last week, and now we've got one-to-one this week. So, we're ticking a lot of boxes for non-North American shareholders for MAG, and
Right.
That's why we actually like one-to-one. It's a great, efficient venue for us to go and update a lot of our shareholders.
Yeah, so people they don't know, I guess the clue's in the name. You have one-to-one meetings.
Yep.
And but why are you doing it? You're a big company, huge market cap, throwing off cash. You're updating existing shareholders or looking for more?
For new ones too.
Right, okay.
We're not quite throwing off cash yet. We will be at the end of next year. But
Right, okay.
I love your optimism.
Yeah,
actually.
okay.
But look, this is a very efficient way
Yeah.
for one conference attendance fee to maybe talk to 20 shareholders.
Right.
And so it updates existing. There's always one or two new potential shareholders come in, and they're only half-an-hour meetings.
Yeah.
But within half an hour, you can sort of whet their appetite, and then you find the follow-up, and next thing you know, you've got a new shareholder, which is, we really like to try and get more names into the story. We've got a very big percentage of our share float is institutionally held by blue chip specialist funds. But we know we like to have some of the high net worth, smaller funds.
And what's that?
Even individuals.
Liquidity?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, because
okay.
a lot of the funds have been in us for over 10 years and they're waiting for that cash flow.
Yeah.
And they've waited patiently and they've waited well for us. But we just like to keep the churn going.
Right, okay. Thanks for that. So why don't we, for people new to the story, give them a 1 minute overview and then we'll get into it.
1 minute overview
let's
of
give it a
the
go.
highest grade undeveloped silver property in the world.
Right.
Well, there you go. There's a 10-second overview, or 1 second. MAG, yes, we IPO'd in 2003 with a property in Mexico that we called Juanicipio. It's right in the middle of the tenements of Fresnillo PLC in the Fresnillo Trend. And a property that had been owned previously by others and who had felt that there's probably minimal mineralisation potential on the property. The property went back to the government. We got it, IPO'd, came on with a new, different geological theory and discovered the Juanicipio vein in hole 1. Very first hole we drilled on the property, discovery hole. So a real fairy tale story.
Right.
And then we continued to drill out. Times were tough back then, difficult to raise capital for drilling, despite good results.
Yeah.
And so Fresnillo, on the other side of the boundary, saw what was going on, said, hey, we like what we see here. And would you ever think of a joint venture? And sure, we offered up an earn-in, and now we're in the situation we're at now with they're a 56% owner in the property. We're a 44% owner, and they're the operator. And I think that's a very important point for people who don't know the story to understand. We're right in their front yard.
Yeah.
They're building this mine for the joint venture, and it's the third mine like this that they've built in the area.
When did you? Because I remember speaking to you guys way back when, 2016, possibly in Zurich,
Right.
I think. And so when did you consciously make that decision? I'm always fascinated by the way the CEOs and the way the boards think. So your model is someone else is doing all the work, and you're benefiting from that because they know what they're doing. It's in their backyard, as you say.
Yeah.
When did you consciously make the decision as that was the route you were going to go?
I think that decision was made when, despite absolutely stellar drill results, we were unable to fund the company to do follow-up drilling and to fully prove up the technical thesis, the geological model. And so it was sort of forced upon us. And I joined MAG 6 years ago. Yeah. That joint venture had been done by then, and my background is more of an operator, mine builder type person, right? And so, I thought, here's MAG, and we're going to go and build mines and carry on. And I've looked at the way this joint venture's performed, and I mean, we've had incredible exploration success at the joint venture. But no, we sit here as a $1.2 billion Canadian market cap company now, with 8 people in the company. And that's an extraordinary market cap to employee sort of ratio.
So the luckiest thing that happened to you was not being able to fund your business, right?
Well, you could look at it like that. Yeah. I mean, some other people would look at that a different way and say, you fools, you gave up 50% of one of the best silver assets in the world. But you know what? I mean, we're a Canadian company. These Fresnillo do all of the execution on the ground. Yeah. They've been mining in this area for 130 years. Yeah. So it enables us to be very lean and very efficient. And so, we have future potential assets in the company, but I've got to say, pairing a small company like MAG up with incredible geological horsepower and technical ability to maybe find more tier 1 assets, and then marrying the execution of those up with the best people on the planet to actually run them.
Absolutely, it's freed you up to do other things, which is great. Yep. So you partnered with the right people, with the capital, the know-how, locally, and you can't argue with a market cap like that. So
no,
that's great. But so what are you doing with your time? There's a few of you in the company. You haven't got much G&A really.
No.
So what are you doing?
First of all, it's about working with Fresnillo to extract the maximum value out of the joint venture ground.
Right.
So that's looking now at what's the best strategy for the construction. How are we going to run this mine? Right? And collectively between the people in MAG and Fresnillo, there's many hundreds of years of operating history. Where do we explore next on the property?
Well, I think it's
right.
So Fresnillo listen to you? They're the local guys with the local knowledge. So they're listening to you. It's a conversation.
Yeah, it's a conversation, and occasionally we have a good idea, and occasionally they think it's a good idea.
Okay.
And it goes up the flagpole, right?
Right.
But there's a lot of work involved in the sort of the governance of the joint venture, budget, particularly now in a construction phase. Now you're monitoring progress, you're monitoring spending. As you said, only 8 people, but there's all the other stuff you have to do of being a publicly listed company. We've got another asset in Mexico, and we're working at opportunities around that. And ask my wife and kids. I'm not home that often, right? I mean, we're pretty busy.
We all suffer from that.
Yeah.
We all suffer from that. But so if I look at this other asset, that's going to stay within MAG Silver. You're not going to spin that out.
No.
Right. Okay.
Well, at the moment, anyway.
Right. So you're going around talking to existing shareholders. You're talking to new shareholders, and you've obviously got a partner who's doing a lot of the legwork for you. So what do you do with the second asset? How do you go about financing that? Are you going to finance it, or is it just in the back burner for now?
It's in the background for now.
Right.
But just when our focus has been purely on the ATM.
Sure.
Right. One, the Scipio's a gift. We've had a mantra in MAG for many years now. Our job is not to mess that up. Add value to that. And that's where we work closely with Fresnillo. Our exploration team and their exploration team meet 2 or 3 times a month, 2 or 3 times a year now. And the success we've had is remarkable. Right? We found the deep zone under the Bonanza zone. One of the highest grade, if not the highest grade, undeveloped property in the world. We then find a bigger zone underneath.
Right.
We then find parallel structures as we drill more. We then find, for the first time in 500 years of mining in this area, structures that run oblique to all of the generally east-west lineated epithermal veins down there. Wow, another exploration explosion is about to happen.
Okay.
That all takes time.
It does take time. So I'm fascinated by the thinking. So what do you do with the next project when it's time to do it? You said you're focused on ATM. We're focused. So
right.
Given your background, which is exploration, development, building mines, right? You're now in a model which was alien to you before that, right. Forced upon you in a way.
Yep.
Now you've seen that work. Would you be tempted to just follow the same model for the next asset? Or do you
to some degree, yes.
Now's the time to go out on our own?
To some degree. I mean, it's high value.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at, we quote this metric of $140 million of market cap per employee. Who else has that in the sector?
Very few.
The royalty companies.
Yeah.
What are the royalties?
Yeah.
Right, they're high value, low risk investments. We're a proxy for a royalty company. There's nothing wrong with that. And we can build a mine, but why not go to the best people in the world to build that particular asset that we've found? I think that's high value for a MAG shareholder. It's deep. I mean, the whole thing about One Scipio is on the spreadsheet, incredible asset, high IRR, great payback period, 15% after tax IRR at $8, probably makes money at $0 silver, all that good stuff. But coupled to that, here is a company as the operator, Fresnillo, are building their third flotation plant on the same rock, the same vein that they've been mining for over 10 years. So it's a high value project, de-risked.
Yeah.
And to me, that maximises a shareholder's return.
Okay, so let's get on to shareholder return, because your general trend has been up this year. You double this year. About that?
We were
looking at this chart, and a bit more at various points.
Yeah.
But general trend is up. It's great. Silver's been up this year as well, which also helps. But
yes.
So, what do you say to these new shareholders that you're talking to around London, Zurich, everywhere that you go, in terms of where do you go from here? What do the shares do? Because they make money when the share price appreciates, right?
Yep.
So, where's that coming from? Where's the next spurt coming from?
Well, what we say right now is now's the time to buy, because we've just come off a major sell-off of some shares from one of our major shareholders.
Why was that?
They're rebalancing their portfolio. Okay. So there's a number of issuers who have seen this selling, and we weathered that storm very well.
Suck those back up.
Yeah, okay. And so now you see we're through that.
Yeah.
And the potential for us to rise, you look at our share performance the last few days, and the volumes come way back down again. So I think people see, MAG's a buy right now.
Okay.
So I think that's good traction in the very
it's
short
a buy,
term.
But if you show the growth, right? So what are the messages that they've resonated with them when you've been talking to them about where the growth is coming from?
From 2021 on, over $100 million of after-tax free cash flow.
Okay.
So
that's dividends, you're saying? Potentially?
It's a lot of cash.
Is it going in the ground?
Well, I think some will go in the ground.
Yeah.
Right? Because, we've grown this resource significantly. Yeah. As we drill more, it'll continue to grow. And so we now have a 4,000 tonne per day plant coming in. It's probably going to be the largest silver producer in the world when it starts up at those high grades in the bonanza zone. If we continue to find more resources on the drill bit, maybe we can expand that. Okay. Right, and then maybe you can grow that great asset even further. We'll still remain 8 people, and we have incrementally a lot higher cash flow than what we're going to have. But look, I think at the end of the day, people need to appreciate with MAG and the One Scipio project, we're sitting here with 300 million ounces of silver discovered so far, 1.5 million ounces of gold, 1 billion pounds of lead, 2 billion pounds of zinc, and now we've got a couple of 100 million pounds of copper. We've explored 5% of the surface area of the joint venture ground. So here is a 44% of this asset's worth $1 billion, 5% of the surface area.
Okay.
And if you look at our corporate presentation, you'll see the targets that we want to drill that we haven't been able to get to drill because we can't get away from where we are.
Do you think that you would, given this thing is going to throw off a lot of cash when it gets going, is there consideration that this thing gets taken private, or do you think public's where you want to be?
Well, it's going to be a big ticket to get taken private.
Yeah.
But look, I think
But it's a lot of cash.
Yeah, it's a lot of cash. I think there will be reinvestment in the property.
Okay.
For sure, but that reinvestment is incremental. I mentioned to you, a lot of those institutions, they've been with us for 10, 12, some of them 14 years.
Yeah.
My personal belief,
Yeah.
those shareholders deserve a drink.
For
I'm
sure.
also a shareholder,
Yeah.
significant shareholder. I've bought over 200,000 shares with my own money. I'd like to pay myself a dividend, so I'd love to see dividends coming out
Well,
of
that's
MAG
about the
down the track.
liquidity. Yeah, you'd hope that.
It should be very doable.
Right.
And the thing about MAG is, we're only 8 people, but there's a bit of grey hair in there. And importantly, in that grey hair comes a lot of people who were around in the 90s on the down cycle.
You've
Seen
seen the ugly side, right? Yeah.
I was running mines, laying off people, disrupting families' lives through no fault of their own, just by fact of the asset at that particular time in the cycle. And that's why if you look at one of our first slides in our corporate deck, is our focus is high IRR. That's not glib, that's not management speak. Right? I don't ever want to have to go and lay a bunch of people off again.
No, okay. And again, this is the great conversation around strategy, and the thesis for your business model is, it is cyclical. Silver can be erratic. It's had a good year, right? Good run at it. But and I speak to some CEOs, cash is king. You got to squirrel some away for a rainy day. Market cap is amazing right now, but
it'll get better.
It'll get better, or it could get worse. But the point is, you've got to be cautious about the way that you build these things at this scale.
Right.
Because big companies, it gets harder, right? For
sure. We are a big market cap, right? But we have a very special asset here, right? On a 1.2 kilometre strike length, 5 to 6 metres wide, bellowing out to 30 metres at depth, still open everywhere. We've achieved $1 billion, and we're not even in production. So our Peter NAV now is trading almost in the mid-tier of where developers are, nowhere near where a silver producer is.
Okay.
Let alone a silver producer that's got an all-in sustaining cash cost of $5 an ounce, run by one of the best silver operators in the world.
Yeah, I think it answers my next question, which was going to be, why do people pick you guys versus the plethora of other developers, perhaps in other commodities? You think you've got a ways to go? Some of those numbers.
Well, you're going to get, in short period of time here, significant cash flow. You've got a management team and a board. That cash flow is not going to go to our heads. It's going to be invested wisely. Because we've all been around the business and we've seen how you make value and seen how you destroy value.
Yeah.
Right? But this is still very much an exploration story. Right? What we're sitting on at Juanicipio is, in geological speak, is a fluid upwelling zone. It's where the fluids came in and mineralised this system. Every geologist, when they come out of university, when they can't sleep at night, what they start thinking about is finding the source. Very rarely does it happen when we've found it, which is why this is such a prolific geological freak of nature. Our recent thinking, from what we've learned from drilling, because a deep fluid upwelling zone has never been drilled in this area before, our recent learning is telling us there could be a few more of these in the area. And if we find another one of these on the joint venture ground, it's phenomenal value creation for people. So as good as this story is, we're not bringing on a great silver mine that'll make immense cash flow for 20 plus years in the future. We're going to do that, but that's the thin edge of the wedge. We're going to continue to explore, and we hope to find something bigger and better.
Beautiful. That's a great first introduction to our viewers. There's a new story to them. Right. Stay in touch.
Oh, for sure.
Let us know how it goes. Obviously, some very exciting year coming up next year, and lots of opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think you've given a very good account of why you think this thing has still a ways to go.
Well, you buy some shares this afternoon, and next time we get together, you tell me how happy you are, all right?
Appreciate your time. Thanks very much for coming in.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, please click the button in the corner of the screen to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also catch us on our website, cruxinvestor.com, and Cruxcast, our podcast series. Plus, most days you can catch us on LinkedIn and Twitter. We'd love getting your feedback, so please keep that coming, and we'll speak to you again soon.